Hello, everyone. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to join us for the webinars today on precision roll grinding for optimal cereal and food production. It's the next in our series of webinars. As always, you'll be able to find it on the website afterwards. We again appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to be with us. We trust that you continue to stay safe as we all work through this pandemic together. And and again, we'll try to keep this to about 15 or 20 minutes. If you do have a question, we have a chat function within this webinar platform that you're welcome to use. Throughout the presentation, we'll also open it up to questions, allow everybody to unmute themselves towards the end of the webinar to cover any questions you may have as well. So why is precision roll grinding and servicing important in cereal and food production? Well, it's because it's all about making your mills more productive through precision serviced rolls, high flake quality, whether it be corn, bran, soy, other food meal and food products, but consistent flake quality results in high output, and lower cost. And we've got a great history working with partners on optimizing that and achieving that through precision roll grinds and roll finish, consistent roll temperature across the face of the roll. And we'll talk through all of these things throughout the webinar. So again, high quality roll condition and service really is a key driver for optimum performance in cereal manufacture and other food manufacture, particularly when it's a flaked product. So a few of the highlights: a precise gap between the rolls is maintained with precision grinds. We'll talk about not only roundness, but concentricity on that roll. It helps provide optimal shear in the nip when you know that nip is consistent. It's also very, very critical in food production, particularly cereal flake production, that specific roll finishes are maintained throughout the life of the roll to optimize the productivity of your mill. And we'll talk through those specific roll finishes. There's no one given roll finish. They're really customized to your operation. And then roll surface temperature, that's got to be maintained consistently across the face of your rolls. That can be done with precision roll maintenance. Precision roll surfaces is not only just grinding to a certain tolerance, it's maintaining those rolls for good, consistent heat transfer. It's also making sure that they're concentric and that shape is proper. And again, more importantly in food, that finish is right for what you need to do, and it maintains itself over time. So again, just to recap, grinding to proper tolerances and shape, grinding rolls to proper surface finish. We'll continue to emphasize this throughout the webinar. It's customized. It's dependent upon the machines that you're utilizing. It's dependent upon the diameter of those rolls as it pulls the raw material, whether again it be corn or bran or soybean, into that nip. Diameter plays into a big part of that. So you should be working with a roll service provider that is able to work with you to customize that roll finish and customize it and put that finish on the roll in such a way that it maintains itself over time, that it doesn't wear quickly. And then again, as we mentioned, mechanical and machining services to maximize performance, roll life, and startup. One of the things that we found over many, many years with food producers is that startup period from newly serviced rolls can be a challenge. So again, customizing the not only the geometric shape of that roll in roundness, concentricity, and shape, but the surface finish of that roll to really minimize your startup losses and optimize your production quickly with new rolls. And at the end of the day, providing a real economic value. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the webinar. But one of the things Precision Roll Grinders is committed to, aside from being world class in what we do with respect to grinding and servicing rolls, is to partner with our customers to identify experiments, design experiments, run through value-added uh, projects to ensure that we're providing true economic value. So let's start with the most common geometric property of a roll, and that's a roundness. There's a couple of examples there on improperly ground and precisely ground. And roundness plays a couple of, or affects a couple of things. Not only does it affect how good and how consistent that nip is as it pulls product into the nip to be flaked, but it also plays a large role in how long that roll is going to run. The closer to perfectly round that you start, the flatter the curve on wear is over time, and then wear on a roll is a function of the deformation on that roll. So if you start with less and less and less deformation, a really precise round grind, then the wear curve doesn't become exponential for an extended period of time, and we'll show that graphically. But again, roundness is very important, not only from consistency of product, consistency of runnability on your machines, but also roll life. Concentricity. Concentricity is something that is often overlooked. And simply concentricity is ensuring that the face of the roll is concentric with the journals that roll runs on. Without that, you're actually putting a cam, even if it's a slight cam, but you're putting a cam or something that's loping into your machine. It's not good over time for the optimization of your production, for the machinery itself, for the bearings that roll runs in, and a number of things. But concentricity is often overlooked. It also must be attained to make sure certain substrates last on the roll as well, and to make sure that there's no premature failures again. So we put this in here just as something to spur thought. Rolls that are ground in place, rolls that are ground on bearings, are not able to achieve proper concentricity because of that proper shape, meaning what the shape of the roll in a cross direction, proper roundness, and again, most importantly in food, proper surface finish is not possible. This is critical for producing consistent cereal or other food in meal flakes. So we ask you to keep that in mind, that you need to ensure that your rolls are not only round, not only have the proper shape, the proper surface finish, but they're concentric as well. This is just an example of a lot of work that Precision Roll Grinders does. These types of tolerances, these types of surface finishes are not necessarily applicable in all cereal and food applications, but what it indicates is that that we as a roll grinding provider, the roll service provider, live in a world of micron tolerances, and we translate those learnings from some of those industries into other industries, whether it be food, cereal production, or paper mills, chocolate refiners, a number of other industries. It's the analogy that I like to use is a lot of the auto manufacturers take their racing technology into their production lines. We like to think at Precision Roll Grinders, we're taking that kind of racing technology into standard manufacturing facilities and standard manufacturing lines. So it's all about reducing variation in product quality. Our rolls, our service rolls need to be able to show true value-added improvement in reducing variation, which leads to true economic improvement in your line. Improved consistency of flake thickness, reduction or elimination of ribbons and off-quality byproduct due to not only the grind, the surface finish, the geometric tolerances, but also the maintenance, particularly with respect to heat transfer in that roll. And then just improved overall flaker production due to proper and consistent surface finish. Again, I know I sound like a broken record with surface finish, but it is critical. You should be, we would ask you to consider the fact that you should be working with a roll grinding and servicing provider that has years and years of experience in a multitude of surface finishes, from very, very smooth to very, very rough, and applying those surface properties so that they do last over time. This is what we were talking about earlier. We have interactive means of sitting down with our partners and going through real value-added calculations, the cost of improperly ground rolls. How often do you have to grind them? In the case of a lot of cereal and food manufacture, it's not that often, but when it does happen, it's a big deal because the machines aren't necessarily set up for removal, and easy installation. There's the startup issues that we've spoken about earlier. We want to be able to sit down, partner with our valued customers to make sure that we're providing real economic benefit. And this is just a template. We actually customize these to each individual manufacturing facility. We have an application engineering group that works with our account managers to pull data from your operation, to look at that data in really with a Six Sigma rigor, to make sure that statistically we can validate that we're moving the needle somewhere together in your process. And we're continually working on interactive, I should say the ability to be interactive with these. We're working to get these on a website platform so that you can go in and plug in what you think some of the economic benefit may be. So again, we've talked about so far about roll geometry, roll surface finish, and how important all that is, and how it really, at the end of the day, your roll service and grinding provider needs to be someone you're working with that is doing those types of studies and experiments to drive true economic benefit, whether it be a reduction in waste, quicker startup, longer run life of the rolls, in between changes. All those things we understand have real economic benefit for you. Another piece that has real economic benefit is mechanical excellence. This is just a list of all the things that Precision Roll Grinders is capable of. We'd ask you to consider making sure that you're working with a roll service provider that not only can do grinding or maybe surface finish applications, but do all the mechanical aspects of the roll too, both external and internal. So precision maintenance is more than just precision grinding. It is thorough inspection of bearings and housings, it's proper assembly of bearings and housings to the proper clearances, so that they run the expected and further than expected life of both bearing and roll. Replacing worn and damaged bearings and bushings, journal repair and replacement. This all leads to on-time startup and profitable production more quickly than dealing with mechanics that aren't exactly right. Something very critical in cereal and food production is, again, surface temperature of rolls, temperature transfer, heat transfer, and how that affects the total indicated run out on the roll, how that affects the shape of the roll over time, but most importantly, how it affects the product you're making. You need to have consistent temperature from the tending side of the machine to the drive side of the machine. That profile of temperature is critical, along with the surface finish we've talked about and the roll geometry that we've talked about. So very sensitive working with our partners in cereal and food production on temperature control, reducing hot spots, preventing thermal run out, This all allows you to be more consistent and drive towards increased production speeds. So, there's closures, there's journals, there's surface finish that we've talked about, there's the profiler shape, there's the internal components of the roll. Again, partnering with our valued customers in the cereal and food industry to make sure every aspect of that roll is precise. It's a precise process that you're being asked to run. It really needs to rely on precision rolls, precision maintained rolls, precision ground rolls, precision surface finishes on rolls that again are customized for each application. This is real data. As you can see, there's a couple of examples on the left-hand side. A roll that was ground to 8 10,000ths, or roughly 1,000, and then a roll that was ground to 2 10,000ths. And you can see that the wear of that roll slope is not linear. That's what we were speaking about earlier. So this particular valued customer was changing rolls every 6 months because they were only getting them ground to a tolerance of 8 10,000ths. We worked with them to grind the rolls to 2 10,000ths, and you can see it actually lasted 2.5 times longer. So, one of the quotes that we like to use is, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of an inch. Production lines, whether it be cereal or food or any other production line out there, if you're making a web of rubber, a web of paper, a plastic film, refining chocolate, all those manufacturing facilities are being asked to run, and we're pretty sure you're being asked to run more efficiently and faster than you ever have been before on the same platforms that you had years ago. So we encourage our valued partners not to get looser with tolerances, but to get tighter with tolerances, because of the demands that are being asked of you and your equipment. So this is, again, real data that shows that that roll geometry matters over time, that it's kind of the washboard road effect. Once the wear begins, then the curve escalates. But the longer you can keep that road smooth, or that roll smooth, the smoother you start that road or that roll, the longer it takes before that wear begins to show. And at the end of the day, the promise to provide value, and not just spoken value, real economic, statistically validated value. Gathering data, doing statistical analysis, as you can see in the middle of that infographic, that shows, hey, this is where the variation was, this is where the variation is now, and can you shift your process to take advantage of that? So it's data analysis on your current process through a joint design of experiment that we do with partners. It's also, in this virtual world, it's any troubleshooting that we can provide via being on site, if that's applicable. That's starting to become a little more common again, but we can do quite a lot with pictures, video, phone calls, conferences. We really encourage, if you have specific questions that you would like answered beyond this webinar, we encourage you to reach out to us directly and say, hey, can we set up a specific webinar for our facility, for our equipment? We've got specialists that have been in a number of these facilities that really understand cereal and food production, that we would certainly get involved in that. And then here's a case study, and it shows a web product, but this is what we drive to. This is what we want to partner with our customers on doing, is not only just providing better geometry, we think, humbly, than anybody else in the world can do. But what does that mean? We understand at the end of the day that better geometry, better surface finish, better internal mechanics and maintenance of your roll leading to better temperature control are all great, but at the end of the day, it's got to lead to more efficiency, more production, less downtime in your facility. So we go through the effort of going through the statistical analysis, making sure that we've got statistical confidence levels that we have helped move the bar, and then draw on what economic value there truly is for you. So my name is Doug Thompson. I work with the sales and marketing group at Precision Roll Grinders. Peter Ditzler at our Allentown number here is our specialist in food. And so we would encourage you to reach out to any of our facilities, but certainly encourage you to reach out to Peter at the Allentown number there. And again, we would encourage you to reach out to us with any specific information you might want to see. We customize these for customers all the time. And even if you're not a customer of ours yet, we'd be happy to customize one of these and go through it with you. So we're at 22 minutes, which is where we wanted to be at this point in time. So I'm going to make sure everybody is unmuted. And we do, looks like, have a chat question. That's a great question. Do all of the shops have the same roll grinding options? Yes. We have some things that we can do in Allentown that are unique, but I don't believe they're unique to the food and specifically cereal industry. The kind of tolerances that we're talking about with roundness, concentricity, and shape are the capability is there for all four of our shops. The surface finish options are there for all four of our shops too. Allentown has the capability to do some smaller stuff that our other facilities don't have. But all the other grinding information, or all the other grinding capability is there. That's a great question. Thank you. Had another question. What types of surface finish? We do everything from mirrored chrome applications all the way up through very rough applications. We have partnerships with Praxair Surface Technologies for surface finishes on rolls. We have partners in chroming and in we're familiar with all the rubber cover folks, but most importantly, we've got proprietary internal processes for food and cereal specifically that are designed to ensure that, depending again on the machinery or the mill that you might be using and the diameter of the rolls, that your raw material pull into the nip is very consistent, that it's preventing ribboning, is preventing product from sticking, for lack of a better way of saying it. But again, we like to come in and talk to you about that, look at it, and customize those surface finishes. That's another great question. How much experience do you have in cereal? I don't know exactly, but I think it's decades. And have worked through some of the issues on the front end of startup problems with ribboning over time, problems with reliability over time, and that kind of thing. And again, we'd encourage you to reach out to Peter. You can always reach out to me, or if you've got a local account manager you're already familiar with, please reach out to them. Any of our facilities, you can get any contact information on our website. We'd be glad to customize a visit, whether it be a virtual visit or an on-site visit, to answer those questions for you. Okay, those are great questions. Any other questions at this time? Again, you have the ability to unmute if you would like, or you can use the chat function as has been used here. Okay. Well, listen, that's 26 minutes. We again appreciate your time. We know this was a really broad overview. We really do encourage you to reach out to us for some more specific information, because there's been great success stories in cereal flake manufacture, soy flake, uh, that we would love to share with you. Uh, but to do that in this kind of format gets well beyond the time frame that we know that you have for us. So again, thank you very much for your time. We hope you have a safe and productive day, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Take care. Thank you.